My name is Carly McWilliams, and I work for Fred Upton. The only time he gets mad is if you call him Mr. Chairman, so I have to call him Fred. I've been working with him for about 4 years now, and I've been doing FDA policy for the last 2 years. But during this initiative, I've really expanded into the our full jurisdiction, which is across NIH, FDA, CMS, and CDC. So we have a really wide jurisdiction, even though it gets a little confusing with the Energy and Commerce title. So I just want to go back. We started this initiative about a year ago, and it has been an enormous learning experience for all of us. But it really stemmed from the thought that we have such incredible scientists, especially in the United States, and we weren't understanding why it was taking longer for medical products to be developed than ever before, and it was taking more money than ever before. And with the ability for scientists to communicate in a easier and less expensive way, the internet, and able to store more data, we were wondering why these new incredible resources weren't being tapped into as much. Because we figured those things would really accelerate the process of cures rather than sort of create more noise and slow things down. So considering Fred's experience as chairman and his time on Energy and Commerce, he was a big part of the doubling of the NIH funding, and he was really involved in the FDA user fees in 2012. So he sort of wanted to put this together and also do something unique that really only Energy and Commerce can do, jurisdictionally speaking, and that's to look at the full development of innovation and the full ecosystem. So that's where our cycle comes from discovery, development to delivery, and how delivery can really bring up invaluable information into more discovery as we learn what works, and sometimes more importantly what doesn't work, and figure out why that doesn't work. So at the beginning of this initiative, the statistic we were often referring to was the fact that it takes 10 years and over $1 billion, however, to develop a drug. However, now Dr. Collins corrected us, and it now takes 14 years on average and $2 billion. We initially thought there were 7,000 diseases with only 500 diseases with treatments. Now we know there's over 10,000 and still only 500. So we know that there's a ton of work to do, but we also know that there are some amazing, amazing things happening, and we want to make sure that that can get through our regulatory system in the quickest and most efficient way possible. So I'm just going to talk a little bit. I'm not sure all of you have read the entire bill. It's only 394 pages. But just to go back, we've had at least a dozen roundtables all across the country from members on and off the committee that have been really interested. These have been bipartisan, and they're looking in their districts to see what's happening, from the hospitals to the research labs to the patients, to learn about what they're doing and what the patient advocates are doing. We've learned some really amazing things about the power of the patient interaction, which is really a cornerstone of this legislation. So throughout that, we've also had 6 additional hearings, one of which was a joint hearing with our Communications and Technology subcommittee, just to talk about the intersection of these new technologies in the world of medicine and how we're going to deal with it, how we're going to deal with medical applications, how we're going to deal with interoperability, because if we're all going in different directions or in different circles, this isn't going to happen in a more efficient and effective way. And that's really the ultimate goal. Since then, we've had a lot of listening sessions, we've had a lot of meetings, and we produced this piece of legislation, which is really just the first step in the legislative process. It's, step 100 in our actual cures process. And this is a point that's just putting things out. We had identified problems, inefficiencies, and these were solutions that we've heard. They weren't necessarily, we don't think that this is, the final product, that this is the silver bullet for it, but we also think that these ideas have merit and are trying to address a problem that we know exists. So right now we're trying to get as much feedback as we can so that when we do get another draft out and go through the committee process, which will be a legislative hearing followed by a subcommittee markup and then a full committee markup, and then we'll go through the House floor. Regular order, transparency, and bipartisanship is a really important thing for Fred and Ms. Daggett, who is the co-sponsor on the Democratic side. So all of these things considered, your input is really invaluable, and now is a really great time for you to help us educate people to understand why this is important and why these 14-year development processes need to be shorter and why this makes a difference in lives. It gets very weedsy and very technical very fast, and people are very quick to go into their silos to say, you know, what does this random CMS provision have to do with all of this? But as many of you know, probably all of you know, that it's all very interconnected. It all matters. And we need to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction, and people can't just look at the narrow anymore. We need to look holistically, and that is what this initiative is really about.